welcome to the show. The Rescue Mission of Mahoney Valley opened its doors in 1894, I believe, was John?
1893, yeah, 1893.
Okay, and my guest today is the new President and CEO, Mr. John Muckridge III. So good to see you.
You too, Dee.
You know, there's so many things happening and have happened since the rescue mission, the mission, opens the doors. It started off as a sewing center, free daycare, women's club, whatever. But look where you are today and where you're trying to go in the future.
Yeah, with the new building campaign that we've been working on, one of the things that's really important that we identify who we are. And you mentioned 1893. We are a Bible teaching, gospel preaching rescue mission that points people to Christ and the cross and what He accomplished there. And what we do is we provide shelter and food to the homeless population in our area. And so with a new facility, we'll be able to continue to increase that, especially with our women and children. We're looking to increase the size of that component.
Physically, the location has changed over the years to the point where you're now on Martin Luther King Drive. And the building itself was, as we've always said, was never intended to be a shelter. I mean, you have retrofixed and fixed up and reconstructed. I mean, you patched it, taped it, and done a lot of
duct
things
tape and bubble gum, actually,
trying to make it work. So the whole concept and the need of a facility, not only to put forth your mission, but to meet the needs of families, women, and children. It's just tantamount to what you do.
Amen. We have one of the biggest issues that we're facing with the current facility is the shower, the drains, the pipes that are busted. And in our family service department, we have a bathroom, we have a couple of showers that the drains are busted, and in order to fix it, you have to break into the walls, and once you do that, you have asbestos issues, and once that happens, you have to clear the whole facility. And so now we're looking at 120 to 165 men, women, and children now on the street. So we can't fix that, and at a certain point, it's just not wise to continue pouring money into a building that's 86, 87 years old. And so that's the need is evident. It's literally falling apart. We have bricks falling off of the building. We have slate on the roof falling off also. It's time to go. It's evident. It's time to go.
Where you are with this, you start off with the campaign of how many million was the beginning?
Early 2000s, the first initial plan was a $19 million project, and then it was dropped to 12, and then 10, and then it looks like the Lord has for us between a $4 and $6 million project.
So we're still on the table. It's just a matter of getting the dollars aligned with the need.
That's right. And so I'm working with the architects right now to redesign the $10 million project to a 4 to 6, which is in line with what we're currently operating in. Our current facility is about 25,000 square feet. We need a little bit more than that so we can increase beds and family services and then have storage also. We don't have any storage space, so we need that. So that looks like it's going to put us in between the $4 to $6 million range. And so right now we're working with the architects to get us to that point.
And the location you're looking at is on the south side.
That's right.
Near the old South High Field House.
Right behind it. Yeah, right behind it.
Go South High, I'm an alumna.
Yeah, there you go.
When I first had a conversation years back with Dave Sherrard, and then again with Jim Etchman, your predecessor, I think the community totally understood the need. It's summertime, it's warm, you know, and needs and demand for shelter, quote unquote, wanes during this time of the year. People are more mobile. But come winter, how are you going to address this continuing at this location?
Well, at a certain point, we have 165 beds. So that's the amount of bed space that we have. Now, we can go up to an additional 35 on mats. So that gives us an emergency of 200 folks. If we go beyond that, then people eventually start having to sleep on pews and on floors because we don't want anybody sleeping outside, because that's the alternative. And so the new facility is going to give us the space that we can not have to worry about that.
Not only that, you were looking at a way of separate entrances depending upon what the needs are, because you've got transitional housing and you've got your education. We're going to talk about all those programs. But for those individuals coming in through the day, specifically for day programming, would be separate from those that are living and housed in the facility, which just makes it easier for the egressing for people to coming in and out of the building.
Like you mentioned earlier, the building wasn't built for a rescue mission homeless shelter. It wasn't built for that. But I mean, the Lord's been gracious in allowing it. That's right, and so it works. but it can work better. It can work more efficiently, especially with the fact that we're serving public too, meals. We're serving public meals for breakfast and dinner. The flow of that would be more efficient with a new kitchen and a new design, and a lot cooler because there's no air conditioning in that kitchen. And so in the summertime, it gets super hot in there.
I can imagine. On average, how many individuals are you seeing a day and the meals itself, which speaks to the need in the community?
Absolutely. Average meals, about 180 to 200 meals a day. So that's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. So that's breakfast, men's services, our clients, men's services and family services, and the public. And then lunch, we do our clients, men's services and family services. And we don't have public because our community kitchen, St. Vincent de Paul, Salvation Army, Dorothy Day, they offer fantastic meals during lunchtime. So if that need ever arises where we need to do that again, we be the first to reestablish that. And then we do dinner also. So we do our clients, men's service, family service, and then the public also for dinner.
In your comments, you mentioned the partnership, which is also so important, is that you provide a uniqueness in the service, but you also are aware that you don't fill all of the needs, that there are other organizations and partners that are helping to do that in our community. And I think sometimes we forget, if it's not hitting us in the face on a personal note, we forget that there are some less fortunate that without these programs would be without.
One of the things that's really amazing is when you step into a position like this now, it's been about 2 months, and I get to see how the community works together and how the partnerships flow, and with Goodwill, for example, and Jim Freeze. We have a partnership with Goodwill where our clients, because we don't have the space now to receive donations, clothing, furniture, but we have clients who need clothing and furniture. So Goodwill offers our clients the opportunity to go up and shop at their store. So they graciously give our clients the freedom to do that and employ our clients too. They give them jobs so that they can become self-sustaining and transition out of the homeless shelter with the goal of not coming back through the door. So these partnerships are super important and amazing. It's awesome to see how they work.
Glad you mentioned that, because for those who may not remember, Mike McBride is now retired and Jim is taking his place. And so we're going to have a conversation in the future with the new director of Goodwill as well. So there's some changing faces in this community, folks, that we want to refresh ourselves with. Over the past several months now, as you said, as you stepped into this, it gives you a different outlook, and as well as seeing the challenges that you're going to be facing in the next several months as you move ahead and get into the winter programming. What's imminent right now at the Rescue Mission? As you said, if a part breaks, the age of the building, the parts, is this an ongoing issue that you're just going to have to continue to deal with until you're out of this facility?
Without a doubt, Dee. We had a couple of pipes bust a few weeks ago, and we had water pouring out of vents, out of ducts.
So that's just a challenge, just to maintain what you got.
That's right. Just keep it afloat. Our Brad Engler, who is our maintenance guy, this dude puts together this building with duct tape and bubble gum, like we mentioned.
Get your own MacGyver.
Yeah, he does. He is definitely a MacGyver. He does a fantastic job. And then our partnership with guys like Timlin, those guys, they're here to help and keep this thing afloat until the Lord blesses us with this new facility.
Well, we're going to see that happen, and hopefully we're going to see that in the future. When you came on board, excuse me, how many years have you been involved with the Rescue Mission?
I came as a volunteer in December of 2011, volunteered for about 4 months, and came on staff in April of 12. So it's been a little over 5 years that I've been at the mission, and my life changed as a result of walking.
That can happen.
Yeah.
We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk in depth about some of the programming and what's next. So don't go away. We'll be right back. Welcome back as we continue our conversation. There are several programs going on, but we're going to talk about 4 of them. Let's start with the Discipleship Academy.
Absolutely. Your Discipleship Academy is essentially a long-term, biblically based recovery program who folks want to come in. A lot of guys and some women who have come in and essentially are just sick and tired of being sick and tired. They engage in this long-term 9 months and then a 3-month internship, and where they're working, saving money, and they transition to another track. Where we open up the scripture and we teach the Bible. We teach who Jesus is. And then there's other components to the Discipleship Academy where we're teaching personal finance curriculum, employment searching skills, where we go through and do mock interviews. Like, what is it like when you go to a job interview? So let's practice one. Let's sit down and we videotape that mock interview, and then afterwards we watch the video together and critique it and talk about some things to be aware of, so that when our client transitions out and sits in that environment, they have a little bit of that training within that. And so we also have partnerships with PNC and other Huntington, other banks that come in and teach
Financial literacy.
Yeah.
Got it. Workforce development.
Workforce development, where we have clients that are currently unemployed but are capable and able to work. So we are holding them accountable to go out and look for work. It's part of staying at the rescue mission. There's an accountability component where we have great partnership, like we mentioned, with Goodwill. We have some with Gas or Chair and some other organizations where we know that there's open positions, and we have our clients go out and employ or search for employment and fill out applications, and then we follow up with our organizations that we partner with just to make sure there's accountability there. And then eventually the Lord blesses them with a job, and then they transition to the next program,
which is a working client.
Which is a working client. Yeah, it's a client now who's staying at the mission, who has a job, has an income coming in, and now they're required, part of the requirements of staying with us at the mission is they're required to save 50% of their discretionary income in an account that we administer. And so when the client moves out, we write them a check for everything that they've saved. Everything.
Which would be the down payment on an apartment.
Absolutely.
Or an automobile if they need the license to get back and forth to work.
We had a client who actually saved enough money to buy a house in Youngstown with cash. So we went from staying at the homeless shelter, saving enough money, to buying a house, owning a home with cash. So that it's just great. Just a great program. And then also what we found, because this has been operating for a few years now, what we found is that it helps to prevent the individual from walking back through the door.
Recidivism rate is reduced because they're stable when they leave.
That's right. There's a safety net. The first storm that comes doesn't devastate them financially and cause them to walk back through the door at the homeless shelter.
So that allows alumni in that sense, because that individual can then come back with a story that can help and assist someone else to say, see, if I did this, you can do this as well. And here's how I did it, is with the support and help from the staff here at the mission.
Amen. That's the goal. And we actually have a program, too, where we're reaching out to our alumni, where we have a rescuemissionalumni.org. It's a website where we're posting videos as we teach through Scripture, just to help our clients as they transition out to continue to be fed, to continue to sit under solid biblical teaching. And so they have access to that, too. It's just an outreach where we're just trying to continue to serve and love the people that the Lord sends us.
And then you have transitional.
Our transitional clients are clients that are easier to place in permanent housing. So it could be women with children, easier to place, or folks who struggle with mental illness, because there's a lot of housing for those categories. And so our goal with our transitional clients is get them placed as quickly as possible. They're more short-term with us.
For the rescue mission, and I know a lot of people have felt it for years, that misconception that if you come there, you have to be involved in church. The allowance is there with the homeless part of this, is that's not necessary. But if you're going to be there long term and you're going to go through the programs, then you have to become a part of your mission and your goals.
Well, not necessarily, no. Absolutely not.
So I want you, that's why I brought that up.
Yeah, I'm glad
so
you did, because I think the perception is...
People need to understand that.
That's right. Yeah, I think the perception, honestly, I heard somebody say one time that they thought that we hold a cheeseburger in front of somebody and say Jesus, and now you can have the cheese. No, we don't do that. We love people, and we love Jesus. We want to point people to Jesus, and we can love people by giving them shelter and food, apart from the religious component. But we're excited about who Jesus is, and we want people to see how good he is.
You share your mission and your vision. So for an individual who's right now, based upon the definition of homeless, you don't have to be in the street. You could be living with relatives, moving from couch to couch or whatever. By definition, that's homeless. And if I decide that I want to make a change and I decide I want to go to the mission, how do I become a part of your program?
Well, you would walk through the door, you can give us a phone call, and you'd go through the intake process initially. Like anyone who would be staying at the mission, they would go through the intake, and that's basic information, name, things like that. And then at a certain point, one of our staff members, Ron Froats in the men's service department, or Luann Winters and her team in the family service department would go through the tracks like I just went through with you and explain the options and where you want to go and what you want to plug into. And then there's grace in that, because if you're not meeting the expectations right away, then you got to go. We're not doing that. There's grace, there's teaching, but there does come a certain point where if somebody chooses not to meet the expectations, and they just choose not to stay with us anymore. But that takes time.
That's a choice.
That's choice. But there's grace and love and teaching before that happens.
Also, you have a fantastic website, so they can go to your website as well. And if you don't have a computer, you can also do it through the library. But there's opportunity there to almost do a visual walkthrough of the rescue mission. And before people even get the understanding of it, when you're talking about the kitchen and the dining area and the living area, which is like bunk beds and cots, because you are to the wall.
Oh, yes.
You are to the wall. And again, this is summertime. So just imagine what it's going to be like when that first breach of coal takes place and the winter emergency program kicks in. But the idea is to realize that there is help there if you are willing to accept it.
That's right.
And that's the first step, isn't it?
That's right. And we have staff members that just we all have similar stories. We all struggle with similar things, and there's no difference. The Bible tells us that all have sinned and fallen short, so there's no difference between me, you, or anybody. And we have staff that just love people, love the Lord, and just want to serve people and point them.
Over the next several months, you're going to definitely be looking and preparing for the winter emergency programs. Where are you now in that process, and what are you seeing as your needs?
We have a great network already set up for emergency beyond any kind of additional space for people coming in that we can't hold. We already have a process developed. Jim did a fantastic job working with the community to set up that process. As far as needs are concerned, the building's the need. The new building is the need. We have a substantial storage of things like blankets, toilet paper, toothpaste, toothbrushes, soap, those things, and shampoo. We have a substantial storage of those kinds of things that we would need. And food too. We've been blessed with food. Our food room is packed. So the need is literally to get us out of the building. That's the need.
So for the community, again, to help with that, what do you have planned?
Well, we actually have a partnership coming up with PureFlix. Now, PureFlix is a global Christian movie producing company. They have a movie coming out that's actually about a rescue mission, about a relationship, a true story, about a relationship between a couple who went into a homeless shelter, served, and developed a relationship with a homeless man, and their life just changed. So this movie's being released on October 20th, but we have a pre-release red carpet event for a fundraising event 2 days before on the 18th, a fundraising event to help raise money for the mission, and more details will come once we get the movie theater nailed down and the specifics.
Okay, but that's definitely coming up.
Definitely.
And the key to this is the needs for the funds so that you can move from the Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard building before it falls down on you.
That's right. Yeah.
I mean, and literally, because it is falling apart.
It is.
And again, you're raising issues now of capacity is one, but safety is, quality is the other.
Yeah, and even the parking situation, we have to walk across Martin Luther King Boulevard. That's four lanes, and it's time. I mean, it's time to go. Definitely.
Okay. On that note, stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back, and I thank you for joining me and my guest today, John. We're talking about the mission, or the rescue mission in Mahoning Valley, and the challenges right now, and definitely the new facility. We got to get this going.
Amen.
Got to get it going. So when an individual right now, and I'm sure a lot of people have thought about this as well, is going through with this whole issue of drug addiction and alcohol addiction in our community, what's the role of the mission in that?
We're here, we're present, our arms are open. I just want to make sure we communicate to, if we have a friend or a family member struggling with that and they need help, the mission is here. The mission can help not only from a housing and food standpoint, but also from our Discipleship Academy, where we're opening up the scripture and teaching, and then also pointing folks to other partnerships in the community and can help with that, because it's something that's increasing. We see that. We've had several guys that we've poured into and loved and spent time ministering to that have been with us and left and unfortunately went back, relapsed, OD'd, and then are no longer here with us. And so we just want people to know that we're here and that we're a resource for this issue.
Do you have the capacity to address detoxing as well as alcohol addiction?
Yeah, what we would do is we would forward folks to the emergency room or up to the hospital, especially with alcohol detoxing, because that's such a serious detox and it's so difficult and dangerous that we would point people to the emergency room, the hospital, and then go through that process. And once they come out, we're here, we're present.
For the numbers, and I know you're seeing an increase, and you're talking about the meals 3 times a day for some, others just 2, whether you have lunch or not. You're talking about bed sheltering increasing in our community. Want to take a couple minutes and talk about the need?
The need. I would go the children. When we talk about the need, I think about the kids. That's something that's increased over the years. I mean, we have several women in the past who are pregnant, go to the hospital, deliver the baby, and then come back. So we have about, on average, 20, 25 children between the ages of 2 days old up to 17 staying with us. And with the current layout of the building that we have families that are staying in closet-sized, small bedroom-sized rooms, just really small. And they're thankful they have anywhere to stay, but we just want to be able to serve them a little bit better, and the families, the children that are coming in. And so the need has increased, especially when you talk about the kids that we're seeing at the...
How does that work if your children, as far as school, enrolling them and seeing that they are actively in school?
Another great partnership we have with Youngstown City Schools. Youngstown City Schools has an associate that comes with us and comes down and helps to plug in the children and keep them in the school system that they were at before they fell into homelessness. So Youngstown City Schools works with providing transportation for the student to get back to the school that they were at. If that's not possible because it's too far away, then they get plugged in to the Youngstown City Schools.
That stabilizes the family again, so that the kids who are a part of this are least impacted.
Absolutely.
Stabilizing. For the cost, and again, individuals can continue to receive, if they're getting their EPT or their food stamps, they can continue to get their SSI or whatever programs they're on, but the idea is to help them to use that wisely.
That's right.
While they're there.
So that would be the component where we talked about, where we're holding our clients accountable to the saving, and so that they have that financial safety net, so that they can transition and become self-sustaining. And
enjoyed my conversation with you today. I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you.
But you're now the 8th since 1893, and that speaks to the history and commitment of the leadership there, and to the board as well, and to your staff. So best to you. I'm sure we'll be having another conversation.
Thanks, Steve.
Thank you for joining us, and we will see you next week.